Welcome everybody, we'll get started in just a moment. Look, Colorado's a great place to live. That's the good news. World-class recreation opportunities, great jobs, strong economy, great community, great schools. The only bad news is the secret's out, and that has made Colorado housing more expensive. Whether you're searching for a home, especially for first-time home buyers, or you want to find a place to rent near where you work, Colorado's gotten too expensive. We want to reverse that trend. And home ownership needs to be a reachable goal for every Coloradan. It's a big part of wealth building is owning a home. And for many Coloradans, that is a big part of a prosperous retirement, as well as raising a family. The bipartisan bills that we're launching today aren't just going to invest critical dollars into projects across the state that increase housing supply. They're also truly transformational. New technology, new ways of doing things, encouraging zoning reforms at the local level that create more housing on transit corridors and close to where jobs are. From investments like expanding Chaffa's middle income housing program, to support for local governments and nonprofits, to support in innovative new technology like modular housing and prefab housing, Colorado is really going to lead the way in reducing costs for people who rent or are seeking to buy a home. We, along with several legislators, I just toured Valor on Colfax, which will specialize in providing housing for people with brain injuries. Last week I was at Miller Ranch in Eagle County, another great example of some of the many projects going on across the state, and there will be many more when we sign this legislation. Housing affordability is a critical part of our vision of making a Colorado for all successful. People need to be able to live in their homes and be able to afford to buy a home. With this one-time funding, Colorado's stepping up. We're making sure that we can be an affordable state in the future. I want to thank the Affordable Housing Transformational Task Force for their hard work. A lot of intellectual capital and creative thought went into this project, which will really be the best and highest use of these funds to leverage the $500 million into billions of dollars in investment in additional housing supply across the state to provide a downward pressure on housing costs for both the rental market and the first-time homeowner purchase market. I also want to thank Summit County Commissioner Tamara Pogue, who's with us. It's also her birthday today. Senior VP of Indy Dwell, Bruce Hoyt, and Kiana Madison, a Habitat for Humanity homeowner who went through the pathway of becoming a homeowner herself. With that, I will turn it over to one of the legislative champions of housing in the Colorado State Senate, Senator Jeff Bridges.
Thank you, everyone. So when we started off this year, people said, what are your legislative priorities? I said, number one, affordability. Number two, affordability. And number three, affordability. That's right, good. It's a good crowd. So number one on that list is housing affordability. We know that Coloradans across the state, across incomes, are struggling to find affordable housing. It's no secret there's an affordable housing crisis here in our state. And every Coloradan deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. Everyday folks like nurses, teachers, and firefighters are struggling to find a place that they can afford without breaking the bank. And so we, all of us here and many folks out here, rolled up our sleeves, we got to work. The Housing Affordability Task Force that met over the summer did amazing work, and I want to say led by members of the sub-panel who we have here today, Kathy and Brian. Raise your hands, give a shout out. They did amazing work leading the sub-panel. We came together and we found ways to tackle this crisis and move more of our neighbors into housing that they can afford. We are taking unprecedented steps to invest in housing for Coloradans and help folks find affordable places to live. And we're using federal pandemic relief funds to make those transformational changes. So I'll just highlight a few of these bills that we are working on. First up, Senate Bill 159, which I am working on with Senator Zenzinger right here, and Ortiz, Rep. Ortiz and Will in the House. We're investing $150 million to create the transformational affordable housing revolving loan fund program. I know that's a mouthful, but the short version is that we are going to create a revolving loan fund program to support projects across the entire state by providing flexible, low interest, below market revolving loan funds. This is going to be for existing housing, property conversions, non-traditional housing capacity, rehabilitation, and new developments. Really an investment in all the various different ways that we can increase the affordable housing stock here in our state. And because it's revolving, these resources will recycle. This is not a one-time spend. This is an investment that we will get funds back into and continue making those going forward. We will leverage the money that's out there and we will recycle those funds back in. It's a historic investment, and I think it is going to make one of the more transformational changes of any of these bills. But we are also working on a very important House Bill 1282, which deploys $40 million to support the construction of innovative types of affordable housing like modular and prefab houses across Colorado. And what's really cool about this is we're working with OEDIT to build that industry here in Colorado. So it's jobs in this industry and it is more affordable housing for people here in Colorado. We also have Senate Bill 160, which will provide critical funding to advance the mobile home park protections that we passed a few years ago by helping those residents get the tools and assistance they need to buy the land that their homes sit on. And then Senate Bill 146, which will provide $25 million for the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority's Middle Income Access Program, which serves the middle-income families and individuals with incomes that are too high to qualify for the typical low-income housing support that we have here in this state. And then I don't have the number in front of me, but there is also a House bill which will create a $150 million grant program for folks across the state to invest in affordable housing that will create incentives for local governments to make changes to their zoning laws and local regulations that are holding back the ability to create affordable housing here in the state. So we have this wide variety of different approaches. We're really just trying to use every tool in the toolbox here to create real substantive action to develop affordable housing across all of Colorado. Now, it will not happen overnight. These are long-term investments to create long-term transformational changes. We knew that going in. This is a long-term change, but it is going to make a difference for folks here in Colorado. Together, we are making transformational changes to housing to make sure that every family in Colorado has a safe and affordable place that they can call home. And now I'm happy to turn it over to Representative David Ortiz.
Senator Bridges, thanks for that. So I got to be honest, I mean, we pretty much have the same talking points, but you know what they say when you serve in the military, it's about repetition, 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 right? So coming out of a once-in-a-century pandemic and dealing with global events that are out of our control, I think it's our job across the aisle, and you see that in a lot of the bill sponsors, to create economic stability and opportunities for our communities. And that's what we're doing here with this $430 million plus investment in the entire toolbox. I am excited to be part of the revolving loan program, which is a self-sustaining and replenishing $150 million investment that's going to impact now and hopefully into perpetuity to make sure that we're creating affordable, attainable housing options. So let's Crayola it. Let's go by the numbers. What is this going to do? It's going to build more affordable homes. It's going to maintain and modify existing affordable home stock. And it's also going to be financing energy improvement and weatherization. And the purpose of that is to keep utility costs low for Coloradans in those homes. So not only are we trying to make housing more affordable, we're trying to make staying in those homes more affordable, and it's also better for the environment. Also importantly for me and the disabled community is this bill includes provisions to foster the development of homes that are affordable and accessible for persons with disabilities, which will also create a stock of accessible homes, not just for people like me, but also for our revered aging population that might need accessible and affordable housing options as well. So together, this long-term investment will boost Colorado's home ownership rate so more families around our state can achieve the dream of home ownership. And this and the entire package of bills is looking to impact all Coloradans, right? Whether we're talking about young professionals and new families looking to afford to live in the communities they teach in, nurse in, or just work in, or older couples that are looking to downsize into more manageable, affordable, and accessible options. mobile park residents, the missing middle. Have you guys heard that term before? One of the bills specifically speaks to that, prefab homes and more. So by leveraging local and private investments, we can sustain our affordable housing through the revolving loan program now and for years to come. And as I said, this is just one tool in the 430 million plus tool belt that is really going to be attacking the problem now and for years to come. So I'm really excited for what we're going to be doing here. I'm really excited to be working across the aisle with rural, suburban, urban electeds, because that is who it's going to impact. We're working in a bipartisan way to transformationally and decisively build more affordable homes, invest in our citizens, and boost home ownership in all four corners of the state. So with that, I am excited to announce Bruce Hoyt, who is board chair of an organization that sounds like the latest affordable housing ban, but it's not. It's a great organization with Indeed Dwell.
Thank you, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I'm the board chair of Indeed Dwell Colorado. Indeed Dwell is a 501c3. We started 2 years ago in Pueblo, Colorado, where we opened up a factory to produce modular affordable housing. I'm here to voice my support for House Bill 1282, the Innovative Housing Incentive Program. The shortage, as you've heard, the shortage of affordable housing affects all corners of Colorado, rural, urban, mountain. There's no community that isn't being dramatically impacted by our shortage of housing. And really the research is pretty clear that shortage of housing impacts economic development, it impacts health, it has impacts on, of course, homelessness and even on educational attainment. So solving this crisis is of paramount importance. Modular construction is really a great way to approach and help solve this crisis, because it has a lot of advantages over traditional site-built construction. One, ability to produce faster, more homes faster. Two, the ability to produce these homes more economically, so we can lower the costs and reach the affordable housing segment of the population. Three, the ability to produce homes and deliver them to areas of our state where a housing workforce is not available and otherwise won't be able to access new housing. And finally, it's a fantastic workforce development and construction skills training tool for the state of Colorado. So I'm a strong supporter of the Innovative Housing Incentive Program, as it's a rare carrot approach in a field that has a lot of regulatory sticks to actually incent us to want to build more affordable housing and to deliver those into hard to serve parts of the state like rural Colorado. It promotes innovation, which then leads to efficiency, which then leads to lower costs for housing for all. And as I said, it's a great economic development tool for Colorado. At Indeed Dwell, very proud to announce on April 2nd, we hired our 100th employee, and thank you. Many of those employees were absolutely unskilled when we hired them, and now the ones who've been with us for over a year, several of them are actually skilled leads, and they're part of the factory. So we're very proud of that, and we know that they will go on to promote more housing in Colorado. So I encourage the legislature to pass House Bill 1282 as one of many solutions to our affordable housing crisis. Thank you.
We now have Summit County Commissioner Tamara Pose.
Thank you, Governor. Tamara Pogue, I'm a Summit County Commissioner and a former member of the Affordable Housing Task Force subpanel. Just want to begin today by offering my thanks to Kathy and Brian as well for being our fearless leaders. Affordable housing has been a crisis in Summit County since 1936. That was the first time anyone in Summit County built an affordable housing project. And we've been doing that ever since. And none of us could have anticipated the crisis that housing has become in our mountain communities coming out of the pandemic. And so I have nothing but gratitude for this administration, for our tireless sponsors, particularly Senator Bridges and Senator Zenzinger, who have gone back and forth with us over and over again on how to make these dollars truly transformative. And transformative they will be. They will allow local governments like mine in rural resort communities who have often historically not been able to access these funds to build a wide array of housing at every level of our community, and we are truly grateful for that support and partnership. Just a couple of days ago, the mom of one of my daughter's best friends called. She's the teacher, her husband is a property manager, and she said, we're done. We can't do this anymore. We're moving to Fort Collins. And for me, it's sort of the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. Despite everything we are doing right now, we need to do more. And these bills will let us do more by partnering with local governments through grants and revolving loans to let us boost the capacity of what we can actually build and convert back into workforce housing in our communities. There's no question that the dollars in and of themselves are transformative, but what is truly transformative in my mind is the collaboration, the partnerships, the leadership, and the flexibility that these bills give us in rural resort communities. So I am deeply honored and grateful to be here today, and thank you all for everything that you've done to support us.
Our next speaker is Kiana Madison, Habitat for Humanity. I also want to acknowledge we're joined by two members of my cabinet, Pat Myers at Office of Economic Development and International Trade, and Rick Garcia, Department of Local Affairs. Chafa is also housed over there. Kiana?
So I am so grateful to be a homeowner due to the Habitat for Humanity Metro Denver's homebuyer program. I have experienced homelessness as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult after battling the beginning of breast, ovarian, and uterine cancers when I was left bankrupt after the treatments. And so I know from personal experience how tremendously devastating it can be to be experiencing homelessness and home insecurity and not being able to afford accessible, safe, stable, affordable housing. As an artist with invisible disabilities and chronic illnesses, being able to have my home now has had really positive impacts on my health. So much so that some of my oncologists and other doctors and medical specialists are been asking, like, what else are you doing? We're so amazed with how much better you are. And I've been able to proudly share that I have a safe home to be in due to Habitat for Humanity. And that's really helped my physical health, my mental health, and my behavioral health. Access to affordable housing has allowed my partner and I to cultivate deep relationships with community members, and it has allowed us to have a stable foundation so we can be active community members here in Denver. When I think about all the communities throughout the state, let it be in rural areas, suburban areas, and urban areas, I know that there are many children, there are many families, there are many individuals from all backgrounds and intersectionalities who need access to affordable housing. And I believe that by working together as we are today with the amazing community members that are here in this room, I know that we can provide improved health outcomes for our folks, that we can help improve and provide more economic freedom and opportunities, and increase educational outcomes for the various youth and children throughout the state. So I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to share, and I have tremendous gratitude for everyone here in this room, for all the people here behind me and our administration that are working together to provide more affordable housing. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to take some questions. Yes.
Do you have a sense of the scale of the package of bills yet, and any estimates on number of units that it would create, or how many residents it would affect?
I'll see. Does anybody else want to address that? I'll do that briefly. This will impact the future of housing in Colorado in the sense that it will help create a zoning landscape, prefab technology that will help lead to hundreds of thousands of additional units. So it's well beyond The direct investment in units, yes, the revolving loan fund, and revolving means it comes back and it's more units over time. So it's really transformational is the key. Part of it is the investment along with other partners, local, philanthropic, in units. But if that was all we were doing, it would be a much more limited number of units. It's also really about the policy drivers of more affordable housing in our state and the technological improvements to help us get there. Anybody else? Great. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to everybody who spoke today. Kiana, thank you for sharing your personal story. Appreciate it. And thank you all.